So we're live, and of course, let's put the log lady here tonight to help us get through this misery and sorrow. What a painful episode. What can I say? I'm trying to get this to work. Hey Melinda, hi Nick. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I've been like, good that this is overlit. I've been crying my ass off. This was so painful. The log lady. Well, she might be dead, but she's gonna live forever in our memory. Oh God, this was so painful. I don't know what to say. I'm just trying to get over the emotions. Let me just get to the analysis before anything really. So episode 15, spoiler alert. We're going to talk spoilers in this episode. And Rancho Rosa logo color was all black and white. Joseph, hey Dacob, hi. Hi Debbie. Hi T, we're all here. Title, there's some fear in letting go. Oh, fuck, this is getting to me. It's horrible. I'm gonna cry again. Hi Talalai. Okay. Listen, we begin with treetops, mountains. Nadine is the first character, my favorite character. Nadine is the first one we see in the daytime. For the first time in season 3, we see her in the day, not just at night. And she's walking with her gold shit-digging shovel. She's walking towards Ed's gas farm, and she lets him go. So little did we know. You big lug. Yeah, Nick. Ed, you big lug. Yeah, the big lug. What she said in the 90s is back now. Little did we know that this scene with Nadine would just show us what is about to come, actually. Because here we're confronted for the first time with this fear of letting go. And she says that she has conquered her fear and she's letting go, and she's letting Ed free. She says she's been a selfish bitch all these years. I have guilted you to stay. I want you to be free. Ed, you big lug. Only Dr. Amp is telling it like it is around here. This is something Nadine is letting us know, that Dr. Amp is not just the only one letting us know how things really are in Twin Peaks, but Dr. Amp is the voice of humanity in the real world as well. The messages that he conveys through his podcasts, video, vlogs, whatever, are actually indicative of what is going on in our world today. So when Nadine says, only Dr. Amp is telling it like it is around here, she's actually transcends the border of the screen and enters in our own world, in our own homes, and talks about our freedom as well. Ed is free to love Norma. Nadine says she always knew he loved her and that now he's free. So we have Ed in the Double R diner. He tells Norma he is free to love her, but Norma is now with Walter, or at least we think. But then Ed orders from Shelley a cup of coffee and a cyanide tablet. We've been talking about cyanide in the past. Norma asks Walter to buy her out of her business. She wants to just keep her one diner and sell the other one. Again, fear of letting go. Does Walter want to let go of this opportunity with her? Fear of her letting go of her business. Again, fear of letting go. But she knows by doing so, she's free and she can go to Ed. Ed is desperately sad at the bar. He got his coffee. He keeps his eyes closed as if he were, again, this is very Wizard of Oz. as if he were, you know, just be like dreaming of like, you know, it's like he's closing his eyes and he's saying, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Instead, he's saying, there's not another person for me like Norma. There's not another person for me like Norma. And bam, the dream comes true. The wishes come true. Ed asks, I think what he asks her is, will you marry me? And Norma says, of course. Next scene, clouds moving quickly in the blue sky. From the blue sky, we shift to night, clouds and electricity in the air. Dark road, car lights the road. In the car, we have Evil Cooper. Evil Cooper drives the car alone to the convenience store. We have the convenience store, which we first saw in this shape and form in episode 8. Note, there is an upstairs and electricity hums as Coop and one woodman climb the stairs. They disappear on the way up. And Evil Cooper reappears in Laura Palmer's painting room, if you guys remember from Fire Walk With Me. And for whoever was the incredible person that noticed in episode 8, the wallpaper, the tiny little strip of wallpaper in the vortex when Gordon is looking through the vortex and we see the woodsman on the stairs, everything is black and white, and we see just a little bit through the crack of the door wallpaper. That's the wallpaper. Now we get the whole room full of that wallpaper. So there is an upstairs and electricity hums. Coop and Woodman climb the stairs. They disappear on the way up, and Evil Cooper reappears in Laura Palmer's painting room. Flowers on wallpaper. Another woodman leads him to another room as we see faded in forest and woods. The woodman takes him up another flight of stairs. The stairs Gordon Cole saw through the warp in South Dakota and Buckhorn. Evil Cooper exits a door to a square outside where two more woodmen stand. He walks with them to a room. To note that the room has a number 8 on it. It is room number 8. Number 8 will return. Oh yes, jail cell number 8. Melinda, there you go. We're gonna get there chronologically. So that's the number 8 of what seems to be a motel. He wants to open the door as a woman approaches him and speaks backwards, very Black Lodge-like, and says, I'll unlock the door for you. Evil Coop enters the door. Evil Coop is in room number 8. Blinking halogen lights. Now, is the woman that opens the door Judy? Because Jeffries later on will say, you've already met Judy. But I don't think that's Judy. Judy's probably somebody else that we haven't expected and figure out soon. Blinking halogen lights, and the wall seems to move away, leaving space to another room. The room looks like it has the electric type of mountain. I call it a coffee brewing machine we have from the Purple World. And then there's a bubble, like a glass bubble, almost reminiscent of what Laura Palmer was created in, but except this is a bigger thing. It seems more evil, and there's smoke in the room. And at this point, I start thinking Jeffries is in some sort of prison, either self-inflicted cage or prison, or a getaway, or some sort of space where he found his way of protecting himself, or it really is a prison. 1989, Evil Coop tells Jeffries he remembers him from 1989. Jeffries says again, so it is you. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, so Jeffries didn't think it was Cooper. How does Evil Cooper know about 1989 unless he didn't get some of good Cooper's memories as he became the doppelganger? We see David Bowie in a flashback from 1989. Evil Coop asks Jeffries why he doesn't want to talk about Judy. Here I wrote a note. When Jeffries tells Evil Cooper, so it is you, Evil Cooper does not react to the question or provocation at all. Lynch wants to keep us guessing, or he wants to keep Jeffries guessing. I guess he wants to keep both of us guessing. Yes, Melinda, 8 stands for infinity, but only if it's laying down. So, different voice on the flashback, Nick notes, yes. Jeffries reacts to the Judy question. Do you want me to spell it out for you? And of course, in Lynch terms, spelling it out for you means numbers, more numbers. We do not see Jeffries in the flesh because Bowie is dead. But instead, Jeffries seems to be transformed into a spiritual being or is in a sort of spiritual lockdown or prison. And it reminded me very much of Darth Vader's oxygen chamber tank from Star Wars for some reason, and we're going to get to that in a second. The spelling it out means 48551, the numbers Jeffrey spells out for Cooper. Cooper writes the numbers down on a piece of paper he magically seems to have all of a sudden in his hand. Cooper asks Jeffries, "Who is Judy? Who is Judy?" twice. Jeffries answers, "You already met Judy." The telephone rings. Cooper, "Who is Judy?" asks twice. Then he answers the phone, lights flicker, and we see the outside of the convenience store. Cooper's catapulted on the outside again in black and white. He gets warped to the phone outside of the convenience store and seems surprised as to how that could have happened. So even Evil Cooper is kind of surprised by all that is going down with lodges and all of these otherworldly powers, even though he was created by them in some sort of way. Time glitches occur, and the person on the other side of the phone hangs up. Then Evil Coop also hangs up. Electricity noises. He walks away, and bam. This is why I said we're going to come back to the Darth Vader idea, because we have this confrontation of what we think is father and son. Richard Horne points the gun at Evil Cooper. He followed him to that spot, or did Evil Cooper let him follow him there? I think it's rather the Evil Cooper letting Richard Horne follow him there, even though Richard says he's seen him, he knows him from the FBI, and then Richard seems to have no clue that Evil Cooper is his father. Again, it's like Luke and Darth Vader in Star Wars. Richard's mom is Audrey Horne. This we suspected, we knew now we have the confirmation that it's her. It's not her brother, but it's her. She's the mom. Johnny's not the father, which would have been crazy anyway, but everything's crazy. So Richard's mom is Audrey Horne, and Audrey had the picture of Cooper from FBI. So she was still in love with him if she still kept that picture of him, and Richard saw that picture. Evil Coop spits, and all he needed to do to this, Richard Horne has killed a child, tried to kill other people. He's a monster, and yet it's so easy to take him away from his own attention span. All Evil Cooper had to do was to spit, and Richard Horne is kind of distracted, and then, Evil Cooper just kicks the gun away and says, "Don't ever threaten me again. Get in the truck. We'll talk on the way." So Evil Cooper, I think, planned all this out. He thinks the time has come for him to pass on the evil to his son, probably. Then he sends the text message that we saw an episode or two ago. We saw Diane receive an episode, Las Vegas ? This is another time lapse, obviously. Richard and Evil Coop leave the convenience store. It starts to flicker and smoke comes out of it as if it were burning on the top. But instead, it kind of flickers until it totally disappears. It seems as though the convenience store also appears and disappears through a portal that opens only sometimes. Trees are filmed from a bird perspective, the sky perspective. Then we have a waterfall, more trees gliding through the forest now. And then we see a guy who later we identify as Mark Frost. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Frost was in episode 15. So we see a guy. For now, I didn't identify him yet. So I just called him a guy with a dog walking through the forest. I presume that's his own dog at this point. Becky's husband, Stephen, is in the forest with Donna's sister. They both seem really high. He says he did it. She says, no, you didn't. She says, you are or you were stoned. He wants to kill himself. Stephen is wearing plaid. To note that the plaid that we loved so much from Twin Peaks season 1 and 2 is back on Stephen in red and black. A guy with dog. Again, I wrote guy with dog. I still didn't know it was Mark Frost. Sees them. Donna's sister, also high, runs away. Stephen is left alone. We don't see Stephen anymore. We do hear a gunshot. And at this point, we don't know if he killed the guy with the dog, if he killed himself, or if he just shot into the woods. We don't know that. But the guy with the dog turns out to be Mark Frost as he approaches the new trailer park and talks to Carl. So anyway, the guy with the dog did survive. So he does talk to Carl and tells him that he saw Stephen and that he knew he lived in that trailer park. All right, now we're in the Roadhouse. James and Freddie arrive. James is happy to see Renee. Her husband is not so happy to see James. And so Renee's husband attacks James, and Freddie defends James with his magical glove. But notice, whenever he punches the guy, and he tries to not punch him too much in order not to kill him, whenever he punches him, the music stops for a second. Electricity kind of makes everything stop. Whenever there's a contact with that, whenever that glove is activated, so to say. So Freddy's power might travel from the giant or the fireman through the electricity as well. That's just an idea I had. Then we're in the FBI in Las Vegas. They say Dougie, one of the agents is told that Dougie and wife are in for questioning. We do not see them, so it makes me suspect that maybe it's not them. Maybe it's the other Joneses that you know, they did say that there were like 5 of them or something in Las Vegas. Because soon after that, we're going to see Dougie and Janie in their home. But that could have been another time warp, so we don't know. But now we're still in Las Vegas, and all of a sudden we're in Duncan's office. He calls for Roger to come into the office. He asks if Roger heard from Anthony. Roger says no, because we know that Anthony, you know, spilled the beans on the truth to Bushnell. So a woman, Chantal, enters and shoots Duncan and Roger. She's on the phone with Hutch and orders some fries with extra ketchup and says, 1 down, meaning Duncan, and 1 to go, meaning Cooper. But she's such a bitch. She doesn't even acknowledge the fact that she took 2 lives in that office, not just 1 life. Tragic. Twin Peaks Sheriff's Building. We're in prison. And here we get, again, the reminiscence of the first season when James, Bobby, and Mike were in the prison cell, and Bobby and Mike were barking at him. Now James is entering the prison cell as well, and that guy, we don't know if he's Billy or not, is still repeating everything. So we have even more this notion, and we're thinking even more, hey, is he actually, you know, really constructed, and was he created just like Dougie was, and then will disappear because he's just repeating everything in a way? We don't know. So they bring in Freddie and James to prison. Freddie is placed in the cell number 8. Freddie does have that magical power given to him by the fireman. All that electricity that kind of stops working when Freddie hits is a similar type of electricity, again, that is present in room number 8 of the motel. The bleeding from the mouth guy is still just repeating everything the others are saying. Has he been fabricated? What is his name? We're still not told his name. Talalai says, anyone else think Freddie is now in the best possible place, being in jail? He can protect Nido. Probably. That's a really good point. And actually, Freddie can, I'm sure, with a glove, burst out of prison anytime he wants. So, like the number of the apartment in the motel, right, we said that. So, is Judy the woman that had the keys to open the room to the motel? She probably has the keys to open all the rooms. That could be Judy. Nido is still talking like some little tiny creature or animal. Chantal and Hutch are eating burgers and are questioning the Bible. Chantal thinks she sees Mars. Dougie and Janie E. are at home in Vegas, so we think they are not at the FBI office, unless there's another time gap or time warp. Dougie's eating cake. Janie is so in love. Janie asks him if the cake is delicious. He, of course, repeats delicious. She says, ironically, and I mean this ironically for us because we understand what is going down, not ironically for her. But ironically for us, she says, it's like all our dreams are coming true. And we know that this is painful because once the awakening happens, Janie E's life will not be the same once Cooper is Cooper. And Cooper repeats true. He moves the pepper shaker and keeps pressing the remote control while he eats. The TV turns on, old black and white movie. I don't know which movie it was. Can somebody please tell me what movie it was? Or was it filmed just for them? But I think by the way that they're talking with that kind of continental accent, I think it was an old school movie. He keeps pressing the remote control until the TV turns on, and then we see Gordon Cole is mentioned. Sunset Boulevard, thank you, Gabriela. Sunset Boulevard, thank you, Talalai. Tim Noir, Sunset Boulevard, thank you, everybody. Okay, we got Gordon Cole mentioned there. Cooper kind of shocked, tries to rewind. Of course, it doesn't work, it's TV, but he pauses the image, and we have the revelation of the Gordon Cole name. Cooper hears the name Gordon Cole and seems to wake up a little bit and tries to rewind the image, but he pauses it. He looks shocked. Camera glides down from the TV to a red picture and further down to an electrical socket. We hear electricity. Talalai says Lynch got the name from that movie. We hear electricity humming and scratching. Cooper on his knees with a fork in his hand from the cake he just ate or he was eating. He goes towards the electrical socket and tries to put the fork inside of the socket, then he turns it backwards. And this is also interesting. The front of the fork doesn't work, so the back of the fork works. I think there's a symbology there as well, that you have to go backwards in order to progress sometimes. He gets electrocuted. Janie E screams and all the lights go out. Sonny Jim also seems to yell from upstairs, "Mom, Dad, what was that?" Lights start to dim. And here I get emotional, guys. So let's try to get through this with the least amount of tears. So the log lady is calling Hawk. And I wrote down the whole text. So let's try to get through this. I don't know if I can do this, guys. Yeah. Kleenex time. God damn it. Where I have... Look at that, guys. I have my Kleenexes here. They're in a little... Oh, it's the last one. I cry too much. Jesus Christ. All right. Yes, Joe. So surreal and so painful. Talalai says, on that note, the other dialogue spoken just before Dougie alerted was all the old gang are getting back together. Or to that effect. So very appropriate for Cooper waking up. Extremely appropriate. Very well noted. Forever Fragrant is, let them flow, Dacob. We're all going to cry with you. This, let it, yeah. So she says, Hawk, I'm dying. And Hawk says, I'm sorry, Margaret. And then she says, you know about death, but it's just a change, not an end. Hawk, it's time. There's some fear in letting go. And here we have again the fear of letting go kick in. And this is also projected to us. All of a sudden, it's not the log lady anymore. It's not Margaret Lanterman. It's Catherine Coulson looking straight into the camera. And she's talking to us now, not on the phone. It's a direct thing. And she's telling us there's fear of letting go. And the fear of letting go is also our fear, our sadness, because it's, you know, Twin Peaks is coming to an end. So it's like our fear of Twin Peaks ending for good. And so we have even this extra level added. You know, we know it's coming to an end. And we know that Catherine Coulson died. And we know that the log lady's sick also in the TV series. So once she doesn't have the phone in her hand anymore, she's looking straight into the camera. Talalai says, must have been heartbreaking for the crew filming. Joe says, maybe unprecedented in any medium. I mean, as far as TV is concerned, I think it's unprecedented. Forever Fragrant Kid says, yes, heartbreaking. Remember what I told you. I can't say more over the phone, but you know what I mean. From our talks when we were able to speak face to face, and she looks us face to face when she says it. Watch for that one I told you about, the one under the moon on Blue Pine Mountain. Hawk, my log is turning gold. The wind is moaning, I'm dying. Good night, Hawk. Hawk says, good night, Margaret. He hangs up the phone. But then when he hangs up the phone, he says, goodbye, Margaret. And there, you're going to lose me, guys, now. So sad. I'm like so devastated. I can't talk. I just can't. The image is over illuminated anyway, so you don't actually see the tears, which is better. But listen, here Lynch gives us a moment of silence for Catherine, and I think that was so elegantly put. Hawk is in silence, and then we fade into the darkness, and we see the moon, and the clouds cover the moon, and then it's all of a sudden totally dark. Sheriff Truman is in the conference office. Bobby comes in with Andy and Lucy. Hawk joins them. He tells them the log lady has passed away. Lucy asks, the log lady's dead, and she cries. And we hear the same music we heard when the giant or the fireman created Laura Palmer. And we have that sense of hope all over again. Lucy cries. Frank takes his hat off. The light in the log lady's house turns off. Then we have Audrey again. Charlie and Audrey still not leaving the house. He's tired. She's not sure if she wants to leave the house or not. She's on the threshold. Notice that threshold. She's not sure if she wants to pass that threshold or not. So I wonder if she's really in a coma and she's like kind of thinking whether or not she's going to jump over that threshold to access reality or not. She finally sees Charlie for what he is. Who are you, Charlie? Audrey starts to strangulate. She's strangling him. We're at the Roadhouse. Two biker guys go to a young, lonely girl with glasses. She looks like Titicaca from Absolutely Fabulous. They take her out of the booth, put her on the floor. She's sitting on the floor. They take her place. They sit down. She says she's waiting for somebody, but nobody comes. She's all alone. She starts crying on her knees. Starts making her way through the public, the audience. She seems lost, even though she said she was waiting for someone. She screams and lights flicker, and we are back above the convenience store motel area. And at the end, also something that never happened before, we have an in memoriam for a character. It says in memory of Margaret Lanterman. So Catherine Nicholson in the first episode, or at the end of the second episode, received in memory of Catherine Nicholson, and now even the log lady receives an in memoriam. And in memory of Margaret Lanterman means there will be no more log lady in Twin Peaks. And that's the end. I didn't really look who the band was. I don't know who was singing. I didn't care at that point. I was just, All right, guys, let's get to the comments. Now I can kind of focus on the comments. I got through the difficult part. Talalai says, I'm certain that Audrey is stuck in a black lodge of sorts. She cannot ever leave, and Charlie dropped a massive clue with the threshold. Yeah, the threshold moment was, I think it meant everything. The threshold moment was just like so saying. And I mean, no offense to Charlie, to the actor, but he's also, just like the little man from another place. He's a small guy. And that kind of makes us feel awkward because we know that the little man from another place is not in this series. The actor isn't there. And yet we have Charlie. We'd also had Ike the Spike, but, Nick says, all I want is Laura Palmer and Gordon Cole dancing together in the Black Lodge. Yes, I know. I remember you told me that already. It would be beautiful. Talalai says, lol, I'm just a nerdy girl. Well, no, you're not. We're all nerdy girls and boys and creatures. T says, I love every bit of it, Talalai. What other comments did we get? Joe says, I knew they weren't leaving the house. Nick says, such a sad moment when the lights go out at the log lady's house. Javid, you're beautiful. Come to Brazil. I love your channel. Thank you so much. I would love to come to Brazil. Tim says, what an incredible woman, Catherine Nicholson, to be willing to do this scene for all of us. I hear she was a true and old friend of Lynch's. Yes, she was from a long, they go way, way, way back. Way back. Yes. And And one of you guys told me that she passed away 2 days after shooting this for Twin Peaks. That was the last thing I guess she ever shot. Tali says, oh, thanks. Cooper is definitely back, folks. Did you see that old inquisitive expression was back on his face? Yeah. Melinda says, Coop is back. Forever Fragrant Kid says, me too, Nick. Joe says, I was expecting men in white uniforms to pull Audrey off Charlie and take her to a padded room. Well, in her dream, I mean, if she's in a coma and thinking about this, we don't know. That probably wouldn't have happened if she's in this dream state. She wouldn't be dreaming of the same people that are in the real world as well. But you never know. Dreams are... What did she say the first time we see Audrey a couple of episodes ago? She says dreams are rooted in reality in some sort of way. But she didn't say rooted. She used another word that was so strange to use. Debbie says, is the good Cooper actually always been the evil Cooper? Well, when Jeffries says in Above the Convenience Store in the motel area, when he says, oh, it is really you, I also thought to myself, was evil Coop the good Coop all the time? Why would Jeffries question that? Why would that even be up for debate? Maybe a clue, maybe another red herring, we don't know. But it was definitely very awkward moment, you know. Forever Fragrant Kid says, yes, when he heard Gordon Cole, he pepped right up. Yeah, he did. He had a moment of lucidity. Nick says, we got the jumping man. Amazing. Forever Fragrant Kid says, great question. Yes. I think that it's still evil Cooper, but I don't know. Well, let's see Talalai. What is Talalai saying? Cooper coming back is perfect symmetry with the electricity socket. 3:15 in the mauve room. In chapter 3, he went through, and now in chapter 15, he has found the way back. Wow, that's mind-blowing. I didn't think of that. Let me read this again, guys. So Talalai is telling us that in part 3, episode 3, and that's the number 3 he went through, he exited the Black Lodge. Now in episode 15, and the 15 was the wrong number. He wasn't supposed to exit through that number. Now in episode 15, he has found the way back. They really thought of every single detail. Furfingerkid says, yep, sniper eye, you got there, Talalai. Joe says, sweet observation. One of my subscribers wrote an incredible comment that really opened my eyes on another note. And I don't have anything here because I'm filming with this. I can't access the information that I need now because I'm filming with the Gidget. So I cannot credit you, and I'm so sorry for that. But one of you on my last Twin Peaks video said something very, very interesting about Naido in episode, what was it, 3 or 4, when she flies off. In episode 3, that's when Cooper goes to, exits the lodge or the purple room world. She said, well, Naido kind of just falls off through the electricity, just like falls off and is flying into space, and then she lands in Twin Peaks. Had Cooper jumped with her, he would have landed with her in Twin Peaks. Why didn't she take him with him? Maybe she didn't know where she was going to land. But if indeed this was something that has been not foreseen or not really controlled by Lynch and Frost, it would be a huge kind of weak spot in the plot line, because Cooper could have just been himself, fallen into the vortex of space with Naido, and then landed in the forests of Twin Peaks, and he could have been himself. Instead, we had to go through all of this torture of Cooper as Dougie for all of these episodes. And we still don't know. I mean, by the end of episode 15, he's still officially not back to himself yet. And yet Naido, already in the last episode, 14, you know, she's in Twin Peaks. And as far as we know, for whatever we can know, because she don't really speak to us the way that we speak, she's still communicating the same way she used to communicate in part 3 with Cooper. Eileen the Queen says, did I miss who Judy is? I don't think you missed who Judy is. At least, I mean, I don't know if somebody of you guys wrote anything about Judy while I was reading my notes. If you have and I missed that, please repeat to me. Gabriela says, did you notice how big the chocolate cake is? When did this happen? What do you mean, how big? Well, she just served him chocolate cake. I mean, Dougie usually eats cake. A lot of cake. Janie usually gives him something sweet to eat. Like the night that they had sex, she gave him cake. Cherry pie is not a cake, but it's a sweet pie. He loves to eat that as well in a couple of episodes. Scott Eichholt says, I think Judy is code for Garland Briggs. Oh, Judy Garland. Briggs. Major Briggs is Judy. Maybe. Maybe. Talalai says, good point, Scott. Scott says, Wizard of Oz reference. Yeah, so many of those. Too many of those for my taste. Gabriela says, is the chocolate cake from the Sonny Jim birthday, I think. Oh, you think? Well, but at this point, we don't even know in which episode we are, really, with the time lapses and with the rewinding and fast forwarding. The clothes might give it away, but I did not take screenshots of the past episodes, so I'm not so sure what Janie's wearing is the same she was wearing for the birthday. Debbie says, wow. Yes, I also say wow. Do you think Judy might be a code word for Garland Briggs? Judy Garland? Oh, yeah, we just had that. Oh, snap. Gabriela says, yes. Melinda says, so the TV was not plugged in into the Cooper scene? Well, the electrical socket was empty. The TV was on. But who's to say that on that wall there was only that double electric socket? Maybe there was another one as well behind the TV set. So this, we cannot know. It's not that we had a scene filming behind the TV set and showing us that the TV had actually no cable attached going to the electricity. So, we don't know about that. But it could be implied. It could be implied that the TV wasn't even on, and it's just... But then why would the TV not be plugged into the electricity if the TV is there on a regular basis? You know what I mean? T says, he was hearing the crackling from that outlet. Yeah. Joe says, Philip Jeffries says, let me write it down for you. Then Cooper pulls out a pad of paper and writes something down, then demands, who is Judy? Huge mystery there. Yes, but let's get back to the numbers. Maybe somebody can tell us what those numbers might mean. 48551. That's the code. 48551. Anybody? Talalai says, I don't think Jeffries meant that Cooper was the original Cooper. He was being totally evasive about everything. So maybe Jeffries intended to say, oh, it truly is you, Cooper, meaning Bob is not there. Could that be the case? 48551. Yes, that's what I wrote down too. 48551. Correct, Joe. But what could that mean? 48551. If we do it backwards, if we sum them up, maybe? No. Be 12, that'll be 17, 22, 24, 2 plus 4 is 6. I don't know. I'm sure there's a meaning, but T says, what about the thing Bobby took out of the chair from his dad? Was there some numbers on it? Coordinates and dates. Joe says, Talalai, help us out. Talalai is our voice of truth. I have no clue, guys. I got to pass on the 48551. Debbie says it looks like a zip code. Forever Fragrant Kid says, were those the same numbers you just mentioned? Yeah, I mean, who? Me? That I mentioned? Tim says, I think Jeffries didn't trust Cooper because he didn't know him. So he didn't want to discuss Judy or Garland Briggs in front of him. Talalai says, well, you got me on that one, folks. No clue about the codes. Melinda says, maybe more numbers coming. Probably. But unless there were a lot of scenes in this one. Another good one. Okay, guys, I have a theory. about the numbers. If we read them backward, well, I don't know. What if they are the episodes again? If we read backwards 1 and 5, maybe not episode 1 and then 5 2 times, 4, 8, maybe. Or is it episode 15, episode 5, episode 8, and episode 4 where Garland Briggs was shown? Maybe? Because it's not that Major Briggs is in every episode. His body or the mention of his name. In which episodes do we have his name mentioned? And in which episodes do we actually get to see his body? Maybe that's what these numbers are there for. Tadalai says, especially as in the second series, Briggs himself said Judy Garland when he was drugged. Melinda says, oh, interesting, Dacob. I don't know. It's just a stupid theory, guys. Probably has nothing to do with the episodes, but 48551 could be the mention of Major Briggs. I don't know. But the fact that, as you guys say, when he was drugged, he mentions Judy Garland, and that's, I mean, probably that's Judy. Major Briggs is Judy, yet another mystery solved. I don't want these mysteries to get solved. You know what I mean? I want it to go on. Joe says, that's great. Insane. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Well, it is very insane. I don't know what to think. Taralai says, all I know is those numbers add up to 23. And that's always bad news. Really, 23? I got 24, so 2 plus 4 is 6. I got a 6. I'm really bad in math, though. Haha, I know what you mean, Dacob. Wait, let me see. 6 plus 5 is 11. That's 19. Yeah, no, it's 23. You're right. It adds up to 23. But 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 is not a bad number. 5 is a good number. Yeah, so they're asking you, Talalai, why is 23 a bad number? Where did you get your Margaret doll? Oh, this one? Oh, it's a Funko Pop. With a little, it's a log lady with a little log. You can see her little log there. I got her at Toys R Us. That's where I got her. Yep. She might not be in Twin Peaks anymore, but she lives now in Toys R Us. Oh, come on. Don't fall, log lady. You got to help us out here. I'm like, she's occupying more and more space. I'm like in my little corner here. It's a spooky territory. Come on, log lady. Stay away from Google and 23. Haha. I still don't get the 23 reference, guys, but I'm just really bad with numbers. Lynch got me there. The second numbers start rolling in, I'm like... But why would Evil Cooper, if Evil Cooper remembers Jeffries from 1989, then Evil Cooper has the memory of Good Cooper, because the Cooper we see in 1989 was not Evil Cooper. But in a way, in last week's episode, Lynch is implying to us that Jeffries identified Cooper as Evil Cooper in 1989. So could it be that the Evil Cooper from now managed to travel back in time and acted as if he were a Good Cooper back in 1989 in the FBI office? Although Jeffries did act really surprised once he figured out what year he was in. So maybe he got stuff mixed up, and that was not Bad Cooper, but Good Cooper after all. But what I'm thinking is if Good Cooper, like if Evil Cooper knows about the memories of Good Cooper, right? And about Jeffries from 1989, then Evil Cooper would also have the memory of Good Cooper talking to Major Briggs about all the things he spoke about. And then Evil Cooper would not really be so in the black, in the not know about who Judy really is. If Evil Cooper has all the memories of Good Cooper, he would have figured it out by now that it was Garland Briggs all along. James says, cried so hard when Log Lady died. I couldn't hold it. I couldn't hold my shit together. It was so painful. But you know, guys, what I mean about Jeffries and about Evil Cooper? Like, if Evil Cooper has the memories of Good Cooper, he wouldn't be questioning so hard about Judy. He would have figured it out by now. At least that's what I don't know. Maybe even Good Cooper didn't think that far. But when Garland Briggs was questioned when he was under drugs and he was mentioning Judy Garland, yeah, Good Cooper doesn't know about that because that he wasn't there when that happened, when the torture was going down. So everything is possible if you think about it, you know. But nevertheless, what a painful episode, and the title really says it all. We've been through so many different types of fears of letting go, and the biggest one of those is actually really when the log lady, when Margaret or when Catherine looks at us and says there's fear in letting go. She, of course, it's her fear of dying in real life. But it's definitely the biggest fears at the moment is of Twin Peaks ending, and our fear of letting go of this amazing, you know, the unknown and the mystery. And once all the episodes have aired, that's it. It's going to be the end. And there's fear in letting go of that, definitely. And sadness, so much sadness, because as happy as I am, and as thrilled as I am, and as full of love and passion as I am now, you know, there's like a one part of me that is in so much pain because I know it's coming to an end. And if I may, let me just say one more thing here. I am so appreciative of you guys and our little community here in this purple room, because I have had other experiences when it comes to Twin Peaks. I've experienced people being mean to other people. I have experienced very aggressive fans of Twin Peaks that kind of are very territorial and very possessive of what they consider to be the ultimate, like, knowing of all things Twin Peaks. And I think that's a big misconception about Twin Peaks. I think Twin Peaks and David Lynch in general is all about love and acceptance and tolerance. And when it comes to Twin Peaks, there is no such thing as a stupid theory. There is no such thing as, oh, you don't know your facts, so you're not allowed to talk. There is no such thing as that. Twin Peaks has such a big heart and is so open for everybody, even if the only thing you get out of an episode is something that touches you and moves you because of the whistling of the wind through the trees or the beautiful sky that Lynch filmed. That's already enough. And that's already a huge thing. Just the fact that you felt some emotion in that respect gives you all the reasons to talk and to love Twin Peaks. You don't need to know how the tie was sitting on some characters in some characters episode back in the 90s, and you don't need to show off how much you have watched into detail every second of the missing pieces, or knowing you don't need that to know and love Twin Peaks. And that's what the community here. I don't care about the other people talking, writing, but when you're here, I just want to make this very clear. This is the space to share that basic love, that fundamental love, and that unites us all. That does not separate, never. It's total unity and strength. And and I'm so grateful that all of you have so much compassion towards one another, that you're all so kind to one another. That just means the world to me. So thank you for that. Joe Wood says, Gordon Cole, but where did he go? And where is Chester Desmond? I don't know if we're ever going to see Desmond again, guys. Forever Fragrant Kid says, you attract a loving community. You never give up on it. Oh, thank you so much, T. We never give up on love. Melinda says, I agree, Dacob. Scott says, that was beautiful. Best episode I have ever seen of the show, including the 1990s original. It was so emotional, I couldn't get over myself from tears. It was a beautiful episode. Debbie says, well said. Forever Fragrant Kid. And then Forever Fragrant Kid says, thank you, Debbie. Melinda says, yes, T, love attracts love. James says, very good points about the fandom. I love to discuss the clues and mysteries of the show with friends and fans. Nothing is ever as it seems. So true. And it's so beautiful to get, like, even sometimes, you know, just like a part of a comment of somebody, or just like a snippet of an idea that somebody had might trigger thoughts in you that just like go to a totally different place. But it's thanks to that other fan of the show that you managed to like open up a total extra new world inside of your own thoughts. And that's so beautiful. SIF Sup said, Twin Peaks is love. Eileen says, we just love and respect you, Dacob. Thank you so much, Eileen. Love you too. Taralai says, we love you, Dacob. My favorite thing about watching Twin Peaks these past few weeks is coming on here afterwards and chatting to all these great people. You guys are incredible. I'm speechless. Joe says, love the purple room. Yeah, it's the purple. We're all floating in the purple room. And look, guys, the log lady's safe. She's not dead. She's alive. She's right here with us. With her little tiny, look at her little log. Look at the log, guys. She's here with us. She's not going to go anywhere. She's staying with us forever. Now I'm sounding creepy. Scott says, love does attract love and hate attracts hate. Maybe all the people in Charlottesville and elsewhere need to ponder that. Yes, I saw, I mean, let's not make this about that, but since we're talking about love, all I could do when I saw those images, I cried again, and I couldn't stop crying, and I felt so powerless because there's, what are you going to do? I wasn't there to prevent with my own body, to just, like, I just want to throw myself on top of a person with a weapon, you know, just to like block them, just like with my own body, to like not let them hurt anybody. I don't know what else to do. Like, that's how far it's come. Debbie says, this is why I wanted to keep the evil out. Yes. Debbie is our protector of all things good. You know, she's the bearer. Now that Margaret is not there, Debbie is there. She bears the log and the truth. She has the golden log. Melinda says, oh, the log lady lives on in the bunker. Yes, she does. This is where the log lady lives now. James says, lovely surprise to see your live stream. I usually go over to the friends to watch on a Monday night with cherry pie and black coffee. So pleased I have data for once. Melinda says, yes, Debbie, thank you. Joe says, does Stephen kill himself? It's a possibility, but, you know, since we don't see him die, I don't think he killed himself. Eileen says, little log lady doll is adorable. Debbie says, my pleasure. Large Taiwan says, you are an actor from the televised show? No, I'm not. I'm not. Yeah. So Debbie says, pleasure too. Oh, I see Debbie is working on it. Okay. So I hadn't even seen the messages. Great job, Debbie. Sips up, really sad log lady scene, but it was also funny with the sheriff looking at pictures of fish. Hilarious. True. I mean, listen, there's always humor. Lynch and Frost, and also the fact that Frost has a cameo in appearance, and particularly in this episode, in this very, very time-sensitive and emotionally sensitive episode. I think it's a very symbolic apparition. Let's think about this for a second, shall we? Mark Frost appearing for the first time, I think. I don't know if he appeared, well, his father obviously is Doc Hayward, but Mark, I don't know if he appeared in the 90s show. I don't think so. But appearing now, in episode 15, you know, Mark wrote with David most of this stuff, but it's Mark's writing. And I think the fact that this episode was so emotional and we got kind of a glimpse into more flowing emotions, I think that's also a reason why it was important for Mark Frost to be in this episode. it's as if he's wanting to tell us, hey guys, it's not just David pulling all those strings, it's also me. I'm going to go to Carl and let him know that I know where Stephen lives. It's as if I decided that structurally, from a character point of view, I decided that Becky and Stephen would live in the new Fat Trout trailer park. It's a very kind of symbolic gesture that he kind of just points like there, that house, like that's where he lives. Like I know where he lives, and that he's in the woods lost. Not lost, like he's walking his dog in the woods, you know. Yes, Nick, that was Mark Frost. The guy with the dog was Mark Frost. He's walking in the woods, in these huge woods, you know, and he comes across these two people that are totally lost. They're lost in themselves, but they're lost in the woods as well. So it's kind of like a very strong depiction of being lost. And it's so fascinating to see that and to understand kind of that Mark enters in that moment and tears them apart. She runs away from Stephen when Mark arrives. Then Mark kind of sees it and he kind of starts walking away quickly, almost as if he were running away with his puppy. Well, not puppy, it's a grown dog, but little dog. And then we hear the gunshot after that. But then again, there's the mystery because we don't know if Stephen actually killed himself or not. So, but it's very symbolic that Mark decided to appear there. I think it was no coincidence. I mean, nothing has been a coincidence till now in this show, so why would that be? Mark Frost would be Gersten Hayward's brother, right? You mean Mark Frost? Darn, I didn't look. Yeah, in the credits, what did they credit him as? Did they credit him as a Hayward? Well, I mean, that would make sense because then in the show he would also be Doc Hayward's son. You know what I mean? And in real life, he was his son too in real life. Another blending and mixing between reality and fiction, which would just be so perfect for this particular episode again. You know, being Margaret Lanterman as the log lady, Catherine Coulson kind of saying goodbye to us. And then Mark Frost appearing not as himself, but in a way as himself. Nick says he was in the original series too. He was the newsman. Thank you for that, Nick. Talalai says, just realized James did not find anything in the boiler room. Bit of a letdown. Well, we don't know yet. We don't know. We don't know because we just see them arriving to the Roadhouse. But, I mean, do we even know if that's the same night? Like James and Freddie arriving to the Roadhouse in episode 15, is that really the time sequence that matches up to the James and Freddie in episode 14 working as security guards? I know that it was James' birthday, and I know that he said, I gotta do the last round, there's this delivery coming, and then we're gonna go to the Roadhouse. But I don't remember. I mean, I was writing down my notes, so maybe I missed it. But did they mention James' birthday in episode 15? In today's episode? Because if they didn't mention his birthday in today's episode, then maybe, time-wise, we are in a different time. Again, maybe it's not, you know, the continuation of last week's episode. So maybe James still has to go to the boiler room and he still has to figure out what's behind that door. John Williams says they should make a Coco Chanel Funko Pop doll. Oh, that would be adorable. I would love that. Joe is this very surreal hour. James says, I feel the voice work of David Bowie has been brushed aside in the past 2 episodes. Sad he couldn't do his cameo, but to redub his Fire Walk With Me is a big letdown. Nick says, that's the constant theme through season 3. We don't know. T says, true, Nick. Invisible Girl says, no, they did not. So Debbie, you're saying they did not mention if it's James' birthday or not, right? So yeah, it could be another night. But again, because they were wearing their uniforms in episode 14, we can't really follow up on what they're wearing now in episode 15 because they're going to take off their uniforms to go out after work, obviously. So there's no really way of figuring that out. Um, Scott says, being willing to let go was a big part of this episode as well. Nadine letting go of Ed, Margaret letting go of her fear of death. Beautiful parallels, beautiful parallels. And Nadine was just, wow, gave me so much. You know, Nadine is my favorite character from Twin Peaks, always has been. It took me a while to figure that out, but... and to see her initiating this episode, and to see her for the first time in daytime, not at nighttime. We've only seen Nadine at nighttime, and now we see her during the day with her little sneakers, with her little golden shovel, walking towards Ed. Something about Nadine is so heartwarming and heartbreaking to me. She has that huge amount of good in her, but at the same time, of course, she's torn and tormented. But with her, good always triumphs. She's a good person. She's not an evil person. She never was an evil character, never. I love Nadine so much. And with her gold shovel, who knows what she's going to do with her gold shovel now? And isn't it interesting that we're talking about Dr. Amp's gold shovels, and the log lady mentions that her log is turning gold. I wonder what that means, and I wonder if there's a parallel between the gold shovels and Margaret's gold log now. Of course, as she says, my log is turning gold, the camera does tilt down a little bit. She lifts it up. We see that the log is not really turning gold. It's more a symbol of it turning gold, but you never know. Maybe in the next episodes, they might go to her house because they have to bury her. Is there going to be a funeral? We don't know. Maybe the log will be gold once they find it. Debbie says purity of spirit, definitely. But the log was always pure in spirit, I think, no? Melinda says 3 more and letting go, yes. James says got a light. Melinda says us letting go of Twin Peaks too, as Dacob said. Yep, so painful. Happy birthday to Ray Wise. Yes, Ray Wise turned 70 today. So that's amazing. Ray Wise is Leland Palmer in Twin Peaks. He is Laura Palmer's father. And he had, I'm so sad about that he until now only literally had 1 sentence to say in all of Twin Peaks. Like literally in episode, what was it, like part 2 or part 1? He said an important thing to Cooper, but nevertheless, just 1 sentence, and he was in the Black Lodge and he said, find Laura, and that was it. And I would have wished so much to see more of Ray Wise in Twin Peaks, if I'm perfectly honest. I mean, I'm super happy with what we got, but I missed him. I have to say, I missed him quite a bit. And of course, I also miss Laura. I mean, obviously. But I'm so happy we got such incredible scenes with Sarah Palmer. Purity of spirit in alchemic terms, Debbie says. Yes, definitely. Alchemically speaking, we're transforming other matter into gold. Joe says, Twin Pulp Peaks fiction. That's a good one. TPPF. Nick says, what do you want the finale to be like? Geez, I don't know what... well, I love your idea of Gordon Cole dancing with Laura Palmer in the Black Lodge. I think that would be so beautiful. But... what I'm so spiritual when it comes to these things, guys. I mean, I don't want to sound pretentious. I don't want to sound like, oh, he knows it all, which I don't. But what I truly feel, I have really let go. I have accepted the return of Twin Peaks with an open heart, and I have absolutely no expectations. Meaning, I know I'm going to get the best. I know Lynch and Frost are just going to give all the love that they can to us. And all I am doing now, as we're heading towards the end, is I'm just feeling it. I just want to feel all of it. I want to feel as much as possible, and I want to experience as much as possible. So for me, it doesn't matter. Honestly, guys, if we received, literally in the last episode, and we're gonna get 2 hours. So we're gonna get episode 17 and 18 in one go. So in these last 2 hours, I'm not kidding. I kid you not. If we were to receive 2 hours straight of just the forests and the wind blowing through those trees for 2 hours, I would just get hypnotized with just like totally, and I would enjoy those 2 hours as well. That would, for me, also be everything. And and I'm not saying like I would accept anything an artist would throw at me that I appreciate and respect so much. I'm not saying that, but when it comes to Lynch, when it comes to Frost, and when it comes to Twin Peaks, there's so much spirituality and so much love there, that, and so much love and appreciation and respect of nature as well, that if they gave nature that major role as a kind of the last character that they dedicated 2 hours to in the last 2 episodes, I would respect that and I would enjoy it thoroughly, honestly. I mean, I'm super honest about this. This is not like me going all bananas and what is, happening to the other characters. I would enjoy it nevertheless. Wow, okay. So many comments. James says, thoughts on a 4th season, Dacob? I don't think there's going to be one, guys. Scott says, maybe that is what this episode is all about, letting go of what is not important and holding on to what is important, like love and forgiveness. Scott, that is such a beautiful thought. I totally agree with you. Nick says, no season 4. Forever Fragrant Kid says, how you said, Nick, Gordon and Laura dancing in the Black Lodge would be a great ending. Scott says, I actually like the finale of Lost, so I will probably like whatever they come up with. Forever Fragrant Kid says, me too, Scott. Well, Scott, just remember this. Lost would have probably never come to be if it wasn't for Twin Peaks. So that kind of abstract aspect of Lost and the fact that they could pull it off is because somebody in the past already broke that barrier, So more power to them. Joe said that last discussion after the last episode will be unforgettable. Oh my God. If now I had difficulties reading through my notes and I wrote down the entire quotes of what the log lady said and I was just crying, I couldn't stop. I don't know what I'm going to do when we do our last, but let's make it a party, guys. I'm going to get some champagne for the last 2 episodes when they air, and let's just get drunk after that, because for whoever is of age, of course, I'm not dragging people underage into doing anything crazy, but for us, as Nadine would say, for us old big lugs, we should definitely, guzzle a little bit to forget our sorrows after Twin Peaks ends. At least I know I'm gonna, because it's gonna be emotional. I'm gonna be high from all the emotions, and I'm gonna be sad and happy. It's gonna be a mix of everything, like super deep sadness and super hyper happiness at the same time. Eileen says, keep chatting, everyone. Love the discussion. I'll be back later. Eileen. See you later. Debbie says, yes, I have just let myself go from the beginning of this season. Totally, that's the best way to just enjoy it. Nick says, this whole season is a feeling and an emotion. Melinda says, yes, I want to savor the moments. Forever Fragrant Kid, yes, Joe. Joe says, the pop culture event of the decade. Talalai says, if they are all going to dance in the lodge, the horse has to be there too. That would be so cute. Melinda says, oh, yes, Joe, this is all history in the making. T says, yes, Talalai. Melinda says, our live streams are history in the making. In a way they are, because we will be able to watch this maybe a couple of years from now, and we're going to be able to hear what we wrote and what we said. And because now we're not knowing what's going to happen in the next 3 episodes. We are living that magic now. That magic won't be there anymore in 3 weeks from now or in 4 weeks from now, because everything will have been unraveled. But now we're still living inside of that not knowing, and that is so beautiful. It just gives me so much energy, and it gives me hope, because this sounds maybe a bit creepy, but I think to myself, you know how it is with life. You never know. You could kick the bucket tomorrow. You never know what can happen. But for some strange reason, I feel as long as there's an episode of Twin Peaks that has to come and air, I can't kick the bucket. It's not going to happen. Life will go on as long as there's Twin Peaks. This is like a weird thought. But you know how it is in life. You never know what can happen. You never know. And definitely thinking that every week the new episode is coming up makes me feel like super happy. It makes me really look forward to time passing and for that episode to come, Oh, a lot of comments. Scott says, Major Briggs said his fear was the possibility that love may not be enough. Maybe the end will be showing the triumph of love, and that the Major was wrong in that regard. Forever Fragrant Kid says, I can totally see that now. James says, it's very late here in the UK. It is 4:42 a.m. No regrets. Absolutely no regrets. Joe says, Lost ripped off Twin Peaks, just saying, and it insulted your intelligence. No, I mean, I have the feeling with Lost, they just didn't have really the proper time. And this is one of the reasons why I say I don't think there's going to be a Twin Peaks 4, because it took Lynch and Frost, and I said this in my past videos, a lot of time to write and prepare Twin Peaks Season 3. They had years' time. And now to be able to say, oh, you know what, in 1 year we're going to get Twin Peaks 4, 1 year wouldn't be enough to prep for Season 4. With Lost, with the amount of episodes per season and the seasons flowing one after the other, I just don't think the writers had enough time to really dig deep into all the possibilities that were there. Just saying. I think it was a time-related thing. I wouldn't just blame it. Well, also maybe greedy, because I guess, you know, the industry wants money, you know, so whoever's producing, executive producers, the stations, TV stations showing it, I mean, you know, they want the executives there. It's money at the end of the day. That's another one of those wonders, and why I love Twin Peaks so much, the fact that actually Nevins, yeah, that's his surname, from Showtime, just, you know, gave carte blanche to David and Mark for this Twin Peaks, and I'm so grateful for that, seriously. Scott says, Atlanta here, cheerio, mate. Hi, Scott. Debbie says, I am lightweight. Melinda says, I'm bringing Kleenex and champagne to finale live stream. Oh my God, definitely. Talalai says, big question for next week, folks. Coop has woken up just in time as Hutch and Chantal are fast approaching. Will he save his family? Place your bets. That's a good question. Scott says, Joe, I was 19 when Twin Peaks premiered in 1990. Watched it from the first. I loved both shows. Joe says, I will get drunk on coffee. Melinda says, they are. This is like a diary. Forever Fragrant Kid says, I really hope so, Talalai. Melinda says, I'm so happy to be part of this with y'all. With all y'all. Me too, Melinda. Forever Fragrant says, same, Melinda. Debbie says, me too. This is so special. Talalai says, I like that, Scott. Scott says, eclipse tomorrow. Remember the original finale when the Black Lodge could be accessed when Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct? Twin Peaks seems to be like signs in the heavens to major episodes. Well, all right, Scott, in that case, Chantal mentioning Mars, that was meant to be, because while she's eating her burger, she thinks she sees Mars. So I guess it's telling us that the lodges are going to align, the stars are going to align, and the lodges are going to open. Maybe she sees Mars for real. Melinda says, I have so many virtual friends now. Feel so loved. Thank you, guys. Thank you too, Melinda. Scott, thanks. Talalai Forever says, I agree with you, Dacob, about Lost. It is still a favorite show of mine with all its flaws. Melinda says, oh yes, the solar eclipse is tomorrow. Scott says, Mars, god of war and violence. I can see that. Oh yes, of course. But, wait, I wanted to mention something. Now, the flaws. For a friend who could mention the flaws in Lost. Let's not forget that also Twin Peaks, especially Season 2, had its flaws. And I mentioned in my video about the truth about Twin Peaks The Return. I said, you know, those emotions that we felt, why a lot of people are probably upset with the new Twin Peaks or feel like it's not like the old Twin Peaks, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the old Twin Peaks wasn't all Lynch controlled and dominated. And there were some mistakes, some flaws, and some gaps, and some storylines were, you know, not really thought through, and some dialogue seemed very cheap. But it was just so lovingly made, nevertheless, and it was always a sort of framework to the major plot lines that were still going on, that still had the depth and the intensity, that everything was forgivable. But even more so than forgivable, those were like beautiful little parentheses that to me now, you know, in hindsight, like if we're looking at it 25 years later, I'm so grateful for those extra little hiccups, for those extra little parentheses, for those extra little episodes added into the plot lines, because they make you dream even more now, because you could let go a little bit of the major plot lines, the most important plot lines, and just enjoy those quirky little moments, you know, little Nikki or Lana, or, well, Lana might turn out to be way more important than we thought. You never know. But, you know, the whole Evelyn situation, I don't know, James going on the road, I love all of it. I really do. And not to mention the fact that Evelyn had an incredible sense of style. The 90s fashion that she wore, beyond amazing. All her outfits, from the sunglasses to that dress, that, you remember that brocade or brocade, I say brocade dress, red. It looked very much like Dolce & Gabbana with all the jacquard floral on it. It was like red on red that Evelyn wore. Check that out. That's an amazing scene. A lot of attention to detail was put into the original Twin Peaks as well. Well, I said, you make some great points, Scott. James says, I can't go on after this show ends. How does life go on after Twin Peaks? I don't know. I'm going to rewatch every episode all over again. I'm just going to play it in a loop, which is what I did all these years. Every year, at least a couple of times a year, I watch my Twin Peaks from beginning to end. But question, this is an interesting question. I had, until now, only, since I was a kid, I watched it back in the 90s and I keep watching it. And the first 2 seasons, I would watch them, ever since DVDs came out and then the Blu-ray, twice or 3 times a year, all the way through. And I would love it so much. Season 1 and 2 are like one big season to me. Fire Walk With Me, I would watch it from time to time, but it was mostly the TV show that really got me going. And now that season 3 is out, I'm asking myself, and I have been asking myself this question in the past too, will I, in the future, watch through all 3 seasons together, or will I just stop at the end of season 2 in the future? I love season 3, don't get me wrong, but it is very different from season 1 and 2. And so I wonder if I'm going to, I know what's going down in season 3. I'm always going to know what went down in season 3, so that's going to be fine. But I wonder, will I want to re-see it all over again? I'm not sure of that. I'm not sure if I'm going to want to rewatch it as much as I wish and desire and crave to keep on rewatching seasons 1 and 2. I think only time will tell. But one of the reasons why I'm not so sure, and again, I'm not criticizing season 3. I think the camera work and the digital aspect of it are beautiful and they work very well. But some of the many reasons why I loved season 1 and 2 was the fact that they were filmed on film, the warm lights used, that warm, it had that patina of brown golden hues that just made it feel so dreamy, and it made you feel so safe despite all the dangers that were in Twin Peaks season 1 and 2. It would just make you feel safe inside that dream, no matter how terrible that dream could have been from some, points of view. And that's something I don't feel in season 3. In season 3, I constantly feel danger. I feel a lot of love and I love it, but season 1 and 2 comfort me. Season 3 does not comfort me at all. So there's a thought for y'all. As much as I love it, I don't know if I'm going to kind of go back to it as the same way I go back to seasons 1 and 2. Scott says, Tuttle, I thank you for your kind words. Furfinger says, the flaws didn't take away the magic for me in either show. Scott says, James, imagine how we felt in June 1991 when the original run ended. With Evil Cooper knowing the show had been canceled. LOL. Yeah, I remember that. That felt... But I didn't feel betrayed. I felt like, well, knowing Lynch, that's a logical ending. To me, it felt like that's like a smack in our faces, to the world's faces. Like, you're not letting me continue with this? Fine, that's what you get at the end, It felt a little bit like that, but it felt good. I felt like justice was served in some strange way. Served like in the terms of Lynch being the winner. Served in a good way. Debbie says, I think I wrote into the notebook, into the network, complaining about the cancellation back then. Oh, Debbie, you did in the 90s? You wrote ABC? That's amazing. Joe said, Scott, I remember. It was horrible. It was like, what the hell was that? Melinda says, haha, I can see you doing that, Debbie. I could see Debbie doing that too. It's the Sicilian zesty fire in her. Scott says, Invisible Girl, I just fumed for 26 years, lol. James says, I do hope Julie Cruz is saved for the finale. How could she not be? Love, don't go away. Oh, what a song. Debbie says, LOL. Scott says, yes, Joe, worst show ending ever, I thought at the time. I loved the show ending, guys. I love the fact, I don't know, I love that. It was such a brutal cliffhanger. I loved it. It felt so, it shriveled my guts. I felt great about that ending. T says, oh my God, James, I hope you're right. Joe says, yes, Dacob, I will watch a few times a year. Scott says, oh my God, Julie Cruz, how could I forget? I still have that album on CD. Well, Julie Cruz is going to be in the show. She said that she will be in the show, probably in the last episode. Although I would have loved to have her in every episode, to be honest with you. Talalai says, I was only 12, and the final episode of season 2 terrified me. Ever since I have been determined to figure out the whole Black Lodge thing, to see it after 25 years has been incredible. Same goes for me, Talalai. Same goes for me. Melinda says, I don't feel safe season 3. Tulpa Trouble says, I still have hopes for another season or movie one day. This episode was about letting go, but perhaps just letting go of the old Twin Peaks, but embracing the new tones and nuances introduced with season 3. I hope you're right, but I fear that it might be the end. Scott says, a smack at the network's face, perhaps? Yeah, I think so. I think that sort of ending, that sort of cliffhanger was also a smack, and at the end of season 2, was a smack in the network's faces. Debbie says yes. So guys, let's wrap it up. It's been 80 minutes. If there's anything you would like to add to conclude this wonderful, I just don't want it to end. I never want it to end, because when we finish our live sessions, you know, then we know that chapter of that episode is over too, and then we, you know, and then it's really over. 15 is over then. Then we're waiting for 16, and after 16, there's only going to be 17 and 18 together. So actually, oh my God, there's only 2 more weeks to go. Joe says, the wallpaper in the room where Evil Coop goes is the same in the painting Laura enters. Yes, it's the same. It's the same wallpaper from Laura's painting. T says, I can't wait for next time. Pink says, just in time to say goodbye. You made James got a light. Yeah, we got the light, but the light is going to turn off because we've been here for 80 minutes. Talalai says, yes, it is, Joe. Lol at Debbie, Invisible Girl. I hope your letter was really angry. I'm sure Debbie wrote a very, very, very beautiful, very sophisticated, and elegantly poised angry letter. Melinda says, me too, T. Tulpa says, yes, Joe. James says, me? I'm okay. I wanted to know how Annie was, though. Listen, they mentioned Annie in season 3, so not all hopes are gone to figure out what happened to Annie. How's Annie? How's Annie? How's Annie? I could be totally crazy if I want to. We needed this, a catharsis tonight. Hi, Pink Hornet. Pink Hornet says hi to Talalai. We all say hi to Pink. Joe Wood, see y'all next week. Love to everyone. Love you too, guys. Melinda says, everyone have a great week. Guys, thank you so much. And let's not forget to thank our wonderful Invisible Girl 422 for being the moderator tonight. She has helped us keep the purple room safe from doppelgangers yet again. Thank you so much for that, Debbie. Tulpa Trouble, Norma mentioned family tonight. Yes. Well, she mentioned it to Walter. And she was, I think what she was mentioning to Walter indirectly was the fact that Ed is her family. Scott said, not goodbye until next week. Talalai says, yeah, even Norma remembered she has family. James says, glad I went on YouTube. Nice to chat with you and speak with you. Thank you so much, James. T says, great to see, talk with y'all. Debbie says, love to all. Pink says, take care all. Gabriela says, bye and sends us a heart. Melinda says, thank you, Debbie. Debbie says, always. Melinda says, love you guys. Talalai says, thank you, Debbie. Good night and hugs to all. And Dacob, your homework this week is to watch Sunset Boulevard. I shall. I actually know Sunset Boulevard. That's for another time. When I was on Sunset Boulevard 2 years ago, after that, I had to watch the movie. We'll talk about it next time. It's a long story. Love you all. Take care. Bye.